Hello, this is Teresa Matsura, and you're listening to Uncanny Japan. Our story begins with a vast expanse of murky, utterly silent, viscous goo. At some point, tiny particles begin to move and vibrate, and there is sound. In time, the lightest of these granules and light itself separates and rises, further dividing as it does, until the universe is formed. It looks kind of like a layered cake, with light being at the very top, then clouds, then below that, Takamagahara, or the high plane of heaven. And at the very bottom, bubbles, a giant mass of dense, sticky slime. Chaos. Meanwhile, up on the high plane of heaven, 3 gods spontaneously appear out of nowhere. They are partnerless, and they have names like Master of the Center of Heaven, and High Producing Wondrous Deity, and Divine Producing Wondrous Deity. They don't do much. Then they vanish, which means they died. Not long after that, from the depths of that mucky bottom layer, grows a reed that shoots straight up and up and up and bursts into the high plane of heaven, where it then proceeds to beget 2 more gods. Meet Pleasant Reed Shoot Deity and Heavenly Eternally Standing Deity. Alas, there was no eternal standing for them, for they too soon die. This goes on for 7 generations. More gods and goddesses come and go. Then they stop vanishing and start sticking around, until finally there appears Izanagi, meaning he who invites, and Izanami, meaning she who invites. They are brother and sister, and they are a couple. Things like that happened back then. The dating pool was small. Don't judge. It is a little cringe, though. It's gonna get worse. Would you like to explore the stranger, more obscure corners of Japanese culture? Dig a little deeper into superstitions, curious customs, and all those mysterious creatures that inhabit the land? If so, then this is the podcast for you. Uncanny Japan is where I, author Teresa Matsura, share all the fascinating tidbits I unearth while doing research for my writing. From the bizarre to the ghastly, and everything in between. I hope you enjoy the show. Hey, how are you? So this is my new bright idea. Richard and I miss doing audio dramas. This isn't an audio drama per se, but I think of it as an immersive story, or better yet, a myth. Keep in mind, Japanese mythology comes from both the Kojiki, 712, and the Nihon Shoki, 720, both of which are jam-packed with old tales, more often than not contradicting each other. So today I chose the version that was most appealing to me. You see, while I was researching the Book of Japanese Folklore, which you can pre-order by the way, the link will be in the show notes, or you can do a quick search, or you can even order it from your local bookstore, and I'd be ever so happy if you did, and grateful. My dreamy dream is that the publishers' minds will be blown by how many pre-sales there are, and they're like, hey, do you have any other stories to tell? And I'll be like, hey, why don't you hold my coffee while I open some Scrivener files and Word files. Anyway, that's that. I'm always about the Buddhism, but while researching the book, I kind of got into Japanese mythology too. I liked it more than I thought I did. Then I got the bright idea to do occasional retellings of certain Japanese myths with some sound design. I'm writing this and I can hear it in my head. If you like it, I can do more. Also, if you have any god or goddesses or myth that you would like to hear, I can do that too. I've already said in the title of this episode that it ends with dragons. But also, after I finish, I have some big, exciting dragony news. I think you're going to really like it. So with that little nugget of suspense firmly implanted in your brain, where were we? Ah, Izanagi and Izanami, the brother and sister deities. They were hanging out on the high plane of heaven when the other gods approached them and gave them a task. Please do something with that unsightly primordial stew that is still, after 7 generations, gurgling and blurping away down below. But here, you can use this jeweled spear. We call it Ame no Nuhoko. And with a great sense of duty, Izanagi and Izanami made their way to the floating bridge of heaven, where they looked down, and then they thrust that spear into the roiling darkness below and stirred. And as they stirred, the briny soup started to curdle. They pulled it out and they gave Ame no Nuhoko a little shake. And they watched as the drops of coagulated chaos piled up and formed an island called Onogoroshima, which means self-curdling island. Nice. Side note, it's believed that that very island still exists today. Some scholars reckon it to be the island of Nushima, located near Awajishima. On the island of Nu, there is a shrine called Onogoro Jinja that commemorates Izanagi and Izanami. The island itself, from above, actually looks like a giant magatama, a curved kama-like shape that has been a part of Japanese culture for thousands of years, and it's associated with spirituality and protection. But there's more. In 1994, a rock was discovered on Nushima that was dubbed Wrinkle of the Earth. And it is, get this, I kid you not, 100 million years old. So there may be something about this myth after all. Back to Izanagi and Izanami. Onogoroshima has been formed, and now it's time to get busy. The two gods float down to this self-coagulating island, and they construct a great pillar. Then they build an elaborate palace around it. Next comes a bit of salacious conversation that we won't get into here, and they decide that it's a good idea, cringe, to get married. It's a simple ceremony. Basically, Izanagi walks one way around the pillar, and Izanami walks the opposite. When they meet on the other side, Izanami says, "Oh, what a fine young man." And Izanagi says, "Oh, what a fine young lady." Then they have their first 2 babies. Regrettably, these children are not formed exactly right. These aren't gods, they say. They're boneless and spongy, and they have no arms or legs. One is actually an island called Awa, and it gets tossed into a boat and floated out to sea right off. The second, they lovingly bestow the name Hiruko, or leech child. Little leech boy hangs in there. He really tries, but with limited mobility and no bones, he doesn't make it to his 3rd birthday before Mom and Dad deposit him in a small boat made of reeds and float him too out to sea. Fear not, dear listener. Leech Boy is a tale of resilience and has a happy ending. around his 3rd birthday, Hiruko has managed to grow arms and legs and an entire skeleton, evidently, and he ends up becoming Ebisu, one of the 7 lucky gods. Episode 28, if you want to hear more about his tale. Back to Onogoro. The bereft sibling couple can't for the life of them think of any reason why their children were so messed up. So they return to the high plane of heaven and they consult with the elder gods. Prepare for another cringe. These older gods tell them in no uncertain terms, well, of course your union wasn't a success. The woman spoke first. Do it again, and this time when you meet on the other side of that pillar, Izanagi, you greet your bride first. Which they did, and this time it paid off in spades. Izanami began giving birth to all sorts of gods and goddesses and islands. Yes, islands. For this is the magical time when the Japanese archipelago came into existence. Alas, this tale does not end well for sweet and no doubt exhausted Izanami, because the fateful time comes to deliver a god named Kagutsuchi, the god of fire. With Izanagi in attendance, the moment arrives when the fiery deity is born. And yes, tragically, it ends exactly how you're thinking it's going to end. Poor Izanami dies from the burns inflicted by her own offspring. Izanagi witnesses this and he loses his mind. How could this ungrateful child do such a thing? Enraged, he roars and withdraws his sword. He raises it high overhead, and in one swift movement, he slices the head off the matricidal monster, Kagutsuchi. But it gets worse. He just keeps hacking, cutting the infant god of fire into 8 pieces. But don't grieve, little ones. These body parts fly off all over Japan and they become 8 great volcanoes. Other bits of blood and gore that flew from the blade and splattered across the rocks also take on lives of their own. They too turn into gods, badass gods, like Deity Rock Splitter, Deity Root Splitter, and the curiously named Rock-Possessing Male Deity. But there's more. There's Awfully Swifty Deity, and there's Brave Awful Possessing Male Deity. Let's not forget Brave Snapping Deity, and its more glamorous sibling, Luxuriant Snapping Deity. Another account has a god named Brave Mighty Thunderbolt Man. Sorry. That's good. Another account has a god named Brave Mighty Thunderbolt Man. But all those deities aside, arguably, the coolest gods born that day sprung from the blood that ran down the blade and pulled at the hilt of the sword, then oozed through Izanagi's trembling fingers. Here we meet 5 new gods. 1. O-Yamatsumi, god of mountains, sea, and war. 2. Amatsu Mikaboshi, or Dread Star of Heaven, a rebellious god who went on to appear in some Marvel comic books as supervillain or Chaos King. 3. Futsunushi, another warrior god whose name Futsu might come from an old Japanese word, futu, which ancient people thought was the sound of a sword swinging and hitting something. Futu. Next is 4. Takemi Kazuchi, god of thunder or god of swords, also the first sumo wrestler. Then we have 5. Watasumi or Wadasumi, a water dragon or great deity of the sea. This one is rumored to be the dragon god, Ryujin. And finally, number 6, Kuraokami, called Dark Rain Dragon. This dragon god rules over ice and rain, snow and winter. Dragons. We'll stop the story here, but remember I told you I had some dragon news? I'm sure everyone here knows film and TV actor and writer David Dastmalchian. He was Thomas Schiff in The Dark Knight and Polka Dot Man in Suicide Squad, an incredibly talented actor who everyone is trying to snap up. He's very prolific. But did you know he's also a comic book author too? If you haven't picked up Count Crowley, published by Dark Horse Comics, I highly recommend it. But now he's also working on a new comic book series that was just announced at Comic-Con. And it's got me super excited. It's called Knights vs. Samurai, and it is an epic tale of these two iconic cultures coming together, and I can say on good authority, you should just look at the cover of the first issue, there will be dragons. The exciting news for me is that David asked me to help out on some of the consulting because it's in the 1500s and those knights are coming to Japan. So I'm involved, and I can tell you that it's a gripping story with colorful and layered characters that you are absolutely going to love. Even the ones you're going to hate, you're going to love. And the story is chef's kiss. It's really, really good. Again, it's called Knights vs. Samurai, and I'll let you know when the first issue comes out because I really think you're going to love it. If you want to, you can poke around on YouTube, and I think you can find the announcement that he and Todd McFarlane gave at Comic-Con. Also some interviews they did too, so you can get some more information. So check that out if you'd like. So that's my other big news that I'm very excited about. And with that, I will let you go. Please consider becoming a patron if you'd like. Patreon now has this thing called collections, where I can put all similar content into one place. So it's like one click and you get all the videos, or one click and you get all the blogs. At the moment, there are 16 videos, 24 recipes, 24 binaural soundscapes, 97 bedtime stories or folk tales, and 163 blog posts. Thank you for listening, and I will talk to you all again in 2 weeks. Bye-bye. You've reached the end of the show, and I just want you to know how much we appreciate you listening and supporting us. Any subscribing, reviewing, and gushing to your friends, family, even random strangers really does help keep us going. If you have the means and you want to help a little more and get a little more, we are making extra content over on Patreon, all for only $5 a month. Or if you like to read horror, you might be interested in my Bram Stoker-nominated short story collection, The Carp-Faced Boy and Other Tales. 本当にありがとうございます. Thank you again, and I'll talk to you real soon.